In September 1999, manga artist Tayako Aoki wrote and illustrated a manga series, Back Shoot Beyblade, to promote the sales of the spinning top school Beyblades. In September 2008, manga creator Takifumi Adichie created a reimagined series of Beyblade known as Metal Saga Beyblade. Each would be adapted into 3 anime series and have their own feature-length film, respectively. But here, my friends, is where I question. Which one was truly the better show? Which one had a better plot, characters, visuals, and soundtrack? Now, before I begin, I know you will all say, but boy dude, the original one was the best. It had Tyson and Kai and the Dragoon Beyblade and all. Well, yes, that's true. My earliest memories of Beyblade was the very first episode of G Revolution where Daichi is reintroduced again. But to be honest, Metal Fusion Beyblade was the first Beyblade season I watched in its entirety, followed by watching all 3 of the originals. But boy dude, there is a spin-off to the Metal series and a reboot of the franchise. What about those? Honestly, the spin-off was a failed sequel that wasn't even completed and the new reboot is still airing, so it's only fair to judge the one that's been completed. Now, back when I was 13, I recall truly enjoying the show as well as the Metal series. However, after rewatching them both recently, my minds on the shows have completely altered. So, without further ado, here is the old versus new, original Beyblade versus Metal Fusion Beyblade anime review. I will be giving points to which has the better plot, characters, visuals, and music, and seeing which scores the highest. I won't be biased, I have rewatched the series and will be giving pros and cons to them both. So what's the point in an anime if it doesn't have a decent plot? Well, I will be reviewing the plots for the first 3 seasons of the original and Metal series and then comparing them and seeing which is more superior. Yeah, it will be a tad long as I will be as quick as possible in terms of comparing the 2 shows together. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, I'll be spoiling both shows, so you better watch them both. Okay, let's start off with the original series, which came first. Beyblade Season 1. This is a story about a young boy named Tyson Granger who enters the Japan Regional Beyblade Qualifying Tournament. Ugh, that's a mouthful. Just say Beyblade Championship already. This is where he encounters Kai, Ray and Max, the 4 of them including Kenny, their chief mechanic manager, all organize a team known as the Blade Breakers. The Blade Breakers toured to China to register for the championships while confronting the White Tigers, Ray's former team. It is seen that Ray's old team still hold a grudge against him for leaving them. Towards the end of the Chinese tournament, Ray and his ex-teammates make amends and the Blade Breakers win the tournament. After this, Tyson and his friends arrive in the United States to fight the All-Stars, who are coached by Max's mother. After winning the American League, the team finds itself stranded in Europe. They tour Europe and meet Oliver, Enrique, Johnny, Robert, who go by the name Magistics. The Blade Breakers battle the Magistics and the Blade Breakers win the battle. Then they go to Russia for the final tournament. This is where things get interesting. In Russia they meet Boris's team, of which Kai was also a member of in the past. Kai had forgotten about Boris and the training grounds where he had learnt almost everything he knew about Beyblading. Later on, Kai is in danger and Ray, Max, Kenny and Tyson all rescue Kai. Realizing the power of friendship as well as the power of Dranza, Kai returns to the Blade Breakers. In the final match, Tyson battles Tala, winning the match and becoming a Beyblade World Champion for the first time. 1 year later and we have Season 2. Beyblade V-Force they seem to look younger than a year ago. Bit weird, bit ironic. The Blade Breakers have gone their separate ways, but when Team Psychic and the Saint Shields attack the Blade Breakers and try to steal their Bit Beast, the Blade Breakers reassemble to defeat the new enemies. Tyson's classmate Hilary Tachibana joins the Blade Breakers but takes time to learn that Beyblade isn't just a stupid game she thinks it is. In an attempt to steal all the 4 Bit Beasts from the Blade Breakers, Team Psychic creates 4 Cyber Bit Beast copies of the Blade Breakers Bit Beasts and recruit 4 skilled bladers named Kane, Salima, Goki and Jim. These teenagers were pure-hearted and innocent bladers with high ambitions, but the dark power of the cyborg Bit Beast gradually took over their minds and turned them evil. The first half of the second season ends with the Blade Breakers defeating Team Psychic. Tyson, Ray, Kai and Max battle Kane, Salima, Goki and Jim respectively and defeat them. After the cyborg beasts are destroyed, Team Psychic come back to their normal selves and regain consciousness. The second half of Season 2 deals with the truth of why the Saint Shields and Team Psychic are after the Blade Breakers Bit Beasts, and about a rock that Max's mother found that contains Bit Beasts, which is stolen by Team Psychic. The Saint Shields' reasons attempting to steal the Bit Beasts are that they fear that the Bit Beasts could get out of control like they did in the past. They battle the Blade Breakers and manage to steal off Ray's Bit Beast, Trigger, in the rock. Later, Ray reclaims Trigger and defeats all the Saint Shields in a team-off. The psychic leader, Dr. Zagat, wants the Bit Beast to turn his android son, Zeo, an exact replica of the son who died in an accident, into a real human. After defeating the Saint Shields, Tyson meets Zeo and befriends him without knowing that he is the son of Team Psychic's leader. Zeo is unaware that he is a cyborg and that his father is behind all of Team Psychic's plans. In the tournament, Zeo defeats Kai and Max steals their Bit Beasts, Trigger and Dronza. But in the final battle, Tyson and Dragoon, Tyson's Bit Beast, defeat Zeo and Cerberus. In the process, Tyson and Max's team win the World Tournament. In Season 3, G Revolution, Kai, Ray and Max leave Tyson and went their separate ways to rejoin their old team so that they have a chance to beat each other at the World Championships, which has been redesigned with tag teams of 2. Max joins the PBB All-Stars, Ray joins White Tiger X and Kai joins the Blitzstreaker Boys. This leaves only Tyson, Hillary and Kenny on the team. A new character, Daichi Samoreji, who appears in the movie and appears in this season, I don't know, it's confusing. And also Tyson's brother, Hero Granger, joined them. They battle it out in the World Championships similar to the Season 1, and Tyson and Kai have their final match, which is pretty awesome. 1 week after the results of the World Championships, Boris, the secondary villain from the first season, says things will return to the way they were before, but he declares that all the Beyblade shops must sell Beyblades and their parts to Bega, associated to Beybladers only. Otherwise they will not be allowed to run the shops. Kenny comes up with a solution. He makes a new type of Beyblade known as hard metal Beyblades, using a different type of parts. But they still needed one more blader. That's when Kai, who tried to join Bega but lost severely to Brooklyn, disbanded the Blitzstreaker Boys, rejoined the team now known as G Revolutions. They defeated Bega's organization and ends with Tyson and Kai having one final match. And they live happily ever after. Until 4 years later, when it was rebooted. Now the reboot series is a little different, as I would like to say. Metal Fusion is the first season in the Metal Saga. This series stars Jinga Hagane, a talented blader traveling all around Japan to get stronger so he can defeat the Dark Nebula, an evil organization who is also responsible for the supposed death of Jinga's father, Ryo Hagane.
Become strong, Jinga.
Jinga aims to recover the Forbidden Bay Lightning El Drago, which has been stolen by the Dark Nebula to use its powers to fulfill their wicked ambitions. The Dark Nebula recruits a blader named Ryuga, who was given El Drago. He travels around the world defeating and either recruiting or destroying the Beyblades of other bladers. Jinga battles Ryuga many times but is always defeated. His friends are also defeated, including Kiyoya. In the second half of the show, there is a tournament that the Dark Nebula has secretly organized called Battle Bladers, and Jinga hopes to battle Ryuga in the final match. Jinga wins the match with the help from his friends Madoka, Kenta, Benkei, Hiyoma, Hikaru, Tsubasa and Yu, as well as Kiyoya and Phoenix, a masked, mysterious blader that appears at the best of times, often saving Jinga, his friends and his rivals. In a fierce battle with Doji, the head of the Dark Nebula, Phoenix saves Hiyoma and Kenta. After Jinga arrives, the ceiling begins to collapse and a broken piece of Phoenix's mask reveals that Phoenix is Ryo, Jinga's dad. Ryo explains how Storm Pegasus and Lightning El Drago came to be in existence. Basically, a star fragment smashed on the Earth thousands of years ago and had an evil bay inside known as Lightning El Drago. The people at the time with dark hearts turned the bay even darker and the bay got out of control. They created a bay called Galaxy Pegasus, but it was way too powerful to be controlled, so they sealed it in Coma Village and created a slightly weaker version called Storm Pegasus. It defeated Lightning El Drago. Jinga battles Ryuga in the final of the Beyblade tournament, and he wins. Unfortunately, Storm Pegasus sacrifices itself because it uses all of its power to defeat El Drago, and it self-destructs. In Season 2, Metal Masters set a few months after Metal Fusion, Jinga hears from a rock which contains Galaxy Pegasus from his father, the legendary Bay. First, Galaxy Pegasus battles with a new Bay named Ray Striker and its owner Masamune Kadoya. Together with Madoka, Masamune, Yu, Tsubasa and Jinga, they form a team called Ganga Galaxy and enter a new Beyblade World Tournament. On the way, they have to battle Team Garcias, Team Wang Hujiang, Team Lavushka, Team Excalibur, Team Desert Blaze, Team Chadora, Team Wildfang and Team Starbreaker, which includes a new guy called Toby aka Faust and other members of Team Starbreaker. The matches are hard at first and they become harder as they progress through the world tournament. Unknowingly, a man named Dr. Ziggurat attempts to find power and differentiate Bays by using the tournament to collect data for experiments he calls the arrangements. These devices enhance the Blader's skills in Beyblade, but Jinga realizes that it was not safe. Therefore, Jinga and his friends together try to stop Ziggurat and his Spiral Force. Jinga and Masamune battle together with a Bay named Twisted Tempo. Ryuga helps Jinga and Masamune. They were successful to stop the Spiral Force. When Jinga releases Spiral Force's power into space, it reveals a dazzling glow, fulfilling the prophecy by King Hades in Metal Fury. And now we come to Metal Fury, the third season of the Metal Saga, as well as the last. It is the third season of the Metal Saga. Taking a break from their latest triumph over Faust and the Spiral Core, Jinga and his friends find themselves saving a boy named Yuki from a mysterious man named Johannes. Although Yuki is a boy genius and an astronomer, he is a blader who owns Anubius. Yuki says that he has come to tell Jinga and his friends about the voice of the star fragment, and that it must not fall into the hands of evil. He witnessed the star fragment fall from the sky one day. That single light dwells within Anubis, and he says that he heard the voice of the star fragment that evening. A great evil is trying to revive the Black Sun and their nemesis, the Greek goddess of revenge, by using the unknown power of the star fragment and destroy the world. They must find the 10 legendary bladers. The 4 season bladers are Jinga, Pagan in his bay, Cosmic Pegasus, Kiyoya Tatagami in his bay, Fang Leon, Ryuga in his bay, El Drago Destructor, and Chris in his bay, Phantom Orion. The 5 solar system legendary bladers Yuki and his bay, Mercury Anubius, King and his bay, Varieris DD, Aguma and his bay, Scythe Chronos, Tiffy and his bay, Dev Quetzalcoatl, and Dynamis and his bay, Jade Jupiter. The one who has Nemesis is Rago, Diablo Nemesis, in order to prevent Nemesis from reviving. Briefly explain the overall plot of both the original series and the new Metal series. It's time to in terms of the plot, I actually find the Metal Saga more bearable to watch and stay awake, and to be honest, I don't have any ill feelings towards the original. It has good moments, like the final arc in season 1 with Kai and Black Dranza, and the scene where Team Blade Breakers have to save Kai from falling into that ice pit. That was pretty dope. And season 3 with Vega was, I suppose, interesting. Hey, the Metal series at times is a carbon copy of the original one, particularly Metal Masters. The whole HG Academy's arc in Metal Masters season 2 is kind of a remake of what happened in season 2 in V-Force. But the original series never really connect with one another, which always bothered me. It doesn't feel as consistent as the Metal Saga. Dizzy, this Bit-Beast computer Kenny owns, doesn't even appear in season 3 for some reason. Even the word Bit-Beast isn't mentioned. All 3 seasons of the Metal Saga flow smoothly through one another, and the story is pretty gripping. The first half of Metal Fusion is kind of a bore, I will admit. It's just Jinga and his gang battling other bladers for the first 10 episodes, and then the Dark Nebula arc kicks in and gets really interesting and emotional. Then it kind of quietens down with the Coma Village arc, and I have to admit, I really like this arc. The music, the visuals had a really calming vibe to it, and it was a nice way to relax after the intensity of the Dark Nebula arc. But it kicks up when the Battle Bladers tournament begins, and when secrets and lies are revealed about Beyblades and how they were created. It just gives the show so much depth and fascination. Metal Fusion is like a roller coaster. It starts off kind of bland, gets epic for a short time, gets really boring for a while, and it picks up again. Season 2 Metal Masters was just fun throughout. It was an enjoyable season right from the start. I loved seeing Jinga and the not Blade Breakers team Gang Galaxy. Sounds Gang Galaxy sounds like a Japanese yogurt. That's funny. But to be honest with you, I kind of liked seeing them traveling around the world. I mean, Tyson and the gang do that twice, but the way it's done in the Metal series is kind of more fun, to be honest. Maybe because we had Metal Fusion the first season, which was set in Japan throughout, and then having season 2, it kind of opens the world up to like new Beyblades and all that jazz. It kind of makes it more interesting, I suppose. The original did do that at the start, so afterwards it didn't really feel as exciting, like towards season 2 and 3 in terms of like traveling around the world. In the original one, I remember for the nearly first 40 episodes of V-Force, Tyson and the gang were just battling either the Saint Shields or Team Psychic, and that shit got boring fast. V-Force had very little tie-ins to the previous season and focused very little on Beyblade tournaments, primarily focused on the previous season. This season was mostly filler content in addition to the previous season. This was due to the lack of progress on the manga's part, whereas the previous season could cover much more of the manga. Both the team of Team Psychic and the duo of King and Queen are filler teams. There was, however, far less filler teams due to the lack of tournament focus within the season. Fortunately, G-Rev fixed all of that, going back to how season 1 was, while adding some changes. I found the emotional breakup in G-Rev between Tyson and Blade Breakers a bit emotional, and it made sense as to why they did that.
Let's not kid each other. The real reason you're running away is because you're jealous of me and always have been. You're no friend. You only think of yourself, and I bet if you had the chance, you'd sabotage this whole competition for me, wouldn't you?
Stop, Tyson! You've got it all wrong! Yeah, you're right. We are thinking about ourselves, but aren't you doing the same? I mean, this tournament is different from all the others, and I think we deserve a chance to win, just as much as you do.
But you're breaking up our team.
I really want to be on a tag team with you, but what if I don't make the cut? I'd rather compete against you for my home team than miss this tournament.
Anyway, let's fast forward back to Metal Masters, and the plot gets even more darker. I mean, in terms of the plot in the second season of Metal Masters, I've covered Metal Fusion now. I mean, Tsubasa has obtained this small portion of the dark power inside El Drago after his battle against Ryuga, and it kind of added to the complexity of the plot. The characters were even put in a tough spot at one point in which Tsubasa was nearly kicked out of the tournament, but he overcame that dark power with his new Shining Tornado Buster special move, so all well and good. Anyway, Jing and the gang find out that the final team of the championship, known as the Starbreakers, which is kind of similar to Blade Breakers, never mind, are part of the HD Academy, which is revealed to be Dark Nebula version 2. Yeah, Dr. Ziggurat hired Doji in the first season to find El Drago and use its data to create Spiral Force and sell it as an alternative energy source. This, in my opinion, is when the show kinda went a bit off the rails for me, and it became less on Beyblades and more on like saving the environment and government stuff, and yeah, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth at the end. I mean, it kind of focused too much on Masamune, which I didn't really like. I mean, he was basically Tyson and Jinga as one character, and to be honest, he wasn't that good. He was kind of annoying. He had a cool bay, I suppose, but yeah. But then his reasoning as to why he wanted to become number 1 throughout the season did make sense towards the end when his childhood friend Zio fell ill, and yeah, he was turned into Faust by Ziggurat, and that added to like the complexity. But it was too much on Masamune. It should have been on Jinga, and why Masamune? It's Jinga. But season 3, Metal Fury, kind of fixed that error and made the season a lot dark and epic that it really left chills down my spine. Finding out there are bladers who have been chosen to battle another Ultimate Darkness, I will admit, was a carbon copy of season 1, in which Jinga had to battle El Drago, a Dark Bay, and now Jinga has to battle another Dark Bay, which is Nemesis. But then we find out the reason as to why, and that's when it gets a bit interesting and it makes sense. We find out that the Dark Nebula going after El Drago and Ziggurat creating Spyroforce was all part of the Nemesis revival plan all along. However, it did leave a plot hole. I mean, if Doji going after El Drago was meant for Ziggurat to create Spyroforce, what was Spyroforce's purpose? The only thing I can think of is that Spyroforce was created to be destroyed by Jinga, because Pluto says when a dazzling glow lights up the earth, and Yuki confirms that it was when Jinga created Spyroforce that the dazzling glow fulfilled the prophecy of King Hades.
When a dazzling glow lights up the earth from the heavens, it was the explosion of spiral force that Jinga released in space. That was surely the light in the heavens, of course.
I did what?
So they created this very billion-dollar super duper Beyblade thing that spins and has electric bolts of energy, and they blew it up just to fulfill some prophecy. Really? Really? That's the reason? Kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. But I still like the season anyway. It was pretty good. I like the season. Really did. Yeah. I mean, the legendary Bladers and the Team Gang Galaxy battling Nemesis was pretty epic, and when everyone had to entrust Jinga with the final blow, it was the icing on the cake. I loved how Metal Fury ended as well. It had a much better ending than the original, I suppose. That was just good storytelling. Although a lot of plot holes, it did make more sense, and it gave the show that boost compared to the original. So points for plot into the Metal series. But what about characters? Well, the Metal Saga has its great characters like Ryuga, Tsubasa, and Kyoya. I couldn't stand some of the other characters in the show when it first started. I mean, Jinga's voice in the dubbing wasn't bad in the first 5 episodes. It was okay.
No, don't do it! This is my battle! It has nothing to do with you!
Don't sweat it, kid.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lose to this guy.
oh, okay.
But all of a sudden, the voice actor Robert Tinkler decided to give Jinga a squeaky high-pitched voice.
Hands up, Big Use your footwork. I didn't say dance like a ninny. Have some self-respect. That's it. Now spin that baby. Come on, spin it.
I mean, Jinga, to be honest, is a little annoying at times. He seems to get more character development in the first season than in the second 2, which is a bit odd. It's more focused on Jinga in season 1 and less on him and on other people, which does make a bit of sense, I suppose. But seeing how broken he was after he was defeated by Ryuga in season 1 was just heartbreaking to watch. Kenta, who sees Jinga like an older brother, can see this and he's hurt. And everyone else around him also sees that this confident, strong Blader just seems to give up. But Jinga learns throughout the show that he cannot do anything alone and has trust for his friends, and it's pretty heartwarming. As well as Jinga, I never really liked the main characters like Kenta, Madoka and Benkei. I mean, Kenta was just a little crybaby in Metal Fusion, crying all the time. I mean, God, this dude is like 12 and he's crying more than a 12-year-old does. Madoka was just an annoying little bitch for the first time I saw her, but over time I started to like her a bit more. But she truly got under my skin in Metal Fury Season 3. Madoka analyzes these things on her laptop in battles, and in this one scene in the Mayan Temple when all the legendary Bladers are together, she suspects that the Stadiums were absorbing the Bladers' powers. So why didn't she just tell anyone?
So that's Nemesis, huh? Interesting!
No, don't!
What?
If you just attack, it'll only give more power to the enemy!
How's that?
What do you mean? The enemy made the legendary Bladers battle each other on purpose. And when they did, the energy given off by the star fragment was sent here and its power was collected. It's just what Dr. Ziggurat's spiral core did. It's the same system.
Ziggurat? From Hades, eh?
I don't know. Benkei, I swear, is in love with Kyoya. Everything is Kyoya body this and Kyoya body that. Tsubasa and Yu are in Metal Fusion, but they really shine in Metal Masters, part of Team Gang Galaxy. Strange name. Sounds like a Japanese yogurt. I really love these guys in Metal Masters, and they seem less annoying than Kenta and Benkei. which makes sense seeing that they are hardly Metal Masters. But they do come back in Metal Fury, and that's when Kenta gets badass. I mean, his strange relationship with Ryuga is a bit startling at first, but it gets pretty cool at the end. The way he's determined to force Ryuga to join the Legendary Blades is just heroes him, and it just pays off in the end when he replaces Ryuga as the Legendary Blader of the Summer Constellation, which is really sad. Rest in peace, Ryuga. Even Kyoya gets character development when he questions on why when he is questioned on why he hangs with Jinga and his gang. When he claims that he's a lone blader, it makes him a bit sloppy in battles after this confrontation with Aguma, only to return realizing that he can't escape his destiny. However, in the original one, there's no doubt about it, Tyson's a badass. I mean, this dude is just so cool. I mean, look at him. Look at this scene in the first episode of G-Rev. This dude is a dude. His voice fits the character properly, everything about him is just awesome. I will admit that Tyson for some reason was an asshole in season 2. I didn't really like the way he was. I guess it was the different shift in directors. I mean, look at this scene with Hillary and him.
And let's try and get along.
Oh, would you get off your high horse? Besides, Hillary, I don't remember electing you team captain.
But I was just trying to help you.
I think I know what I'm doing. So just back off a little, okay? And to be honest with you, this whole practice thing is just a complete waste of time.
You're kidding!
You're crossing the line, Tyson.
Yeah, boy, that's a bit harsh. But he's at his best in season 3 when he looks older, smarter, and just Tyson. Kai is a badass. He's just cool. Season 1 and 3 Kai were just great, but once again, V-Force Kai wasn't that good. They made him like a crybaby. Like, there's this one episode where he's crying about Wyatt or someone like that, and it's like, really, that's not Kai? I expect that from like Max.
Please, Kai, don't feel bad about me. What happened to me wasn't your fault.
Wyatt! But it was my fault. If only
The other characters like Ray, Max, and Kenny are pretty cool. Hillary is kind of a pointless character, although she does look better and acts better in season 3. But overall, the original just has a better cast. Points for the original Beyblade. But what about the visuals? What about them visuals? The overall look of the anime, well, the season 1 of Beyblade didn't have that 90s anime look that all animes kinda had at that time period. But the way the Babe spun in battle just looked awful. I mean, sometimes I was watching like a rough animatic of a better show. It was not appealing at all. Season 2 visual styles greatly changed and matched the look and vibe of anime in the early 2000s. But the Beyblades as well looked very realistic and just cooler, although at times looked a bit weird looking and not really finished rendering. But it was the character designs that stirred the most controversy. I have to agree that even though they looked more like the manga characters, they looked so much younger than season 1. I mean, Tyson looks like a little boy, not a preteen. The animation was cleaner though, but G-Rev fixed all those issues from season 1 and 2. They made the Babe battles more intense and gave the characters an upgrade by making them 1 year older. Tyson and Kai were much better, particularly. They looked older and stronger and just badass. Kai's design with his scarf is just cool. And they made Jinga wear his scarf, which was like, that's Kai's scarf, man. Don't let Jinga wear it. However, the Metal series was just better in consistency. Even though there were some episodes that looked a bit off, for the most part the animation was just awesome. I mean, look at some of the landscape designs, they just look gorgeous. Season 1 and 2 looked quite nice, but Season 3 was the best in terms of the animation and the visuals. The battle against Nemesis were really frightening to watch and to look at. I mean, look at this god of destruction. Freaking looked like a demon, and the way Rago and Pluto are being like merged with the Bay Nemesis, it just looks frightening. They don't have pupils. Where are their pupils? So weird. I mean, the bladers have thorns and rips and cuts and all that lovely jazz. Heck, there was even 2 people killed. Ryuga dies and Doji. after he comes back in Shogun Steel, but we don't talk about Shogun Steel, it doesn't exist. Raiga's fight against Nemesis is just the best looking battle I have ever seen. The attention to detail is just on point of that. The Metal Saga gets the point for best visuals. So now we come to the final aspect of the review, and it's the soundtrack and the sound effects and the dialogue, so the sound as an all. Well, both have great soundtracks. The original uses a lot Red Hot Chili Peppers style to their songs, especially that song Rise Above the Storm. I felt like I was listening to a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. It did feel like that. Just rock and punk, just great.
Rise above the storm. You can find what you've been looking for.
But the Metal Saga uses more of a cinematic feel to it. They use more awkward chest OETSs, but the deciding factor is within the theme song. The original Beyblade has a really upbeat tune that gets you really excited, whereas the Metal one has more of a mellow rock vibe. The editing in Season 1 and G-Revolution is really cool as they cut to the beat of the song. Even V-Vault is okay at times, but the editing of the Metal series is just not right. I mean, Metal Fusion is okay, the edits are okay, but the editing in Metal Masters is just all over the place. And heck, I prefer to watch the Japanese openings. They're way better. In terms of the voice acting, the dubbing for both are just not good. I mean, hear this line from the original.
Oh, I'm so scared. Black drones are neutralized.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's not that good at all. Very bad, and same goes to the Metal series, unfortunately.
Looks like the circus is in town, huh?
Yes, either he's really good or he's had too much sugar today.
Hear this dialogue. Yeah, not good, is it? I will say that the Metal series is slightly better in terms of the acting. I mean, there was this one scene with Hyoma defeated by Reggie, and it's kind of trended now. Yeah, that was pretty good actually. Well done for the actor. Sends shivers down my spine. The Japanese version of the Metal series is much better. Wish he had subtitles for it, because I remember hearing Kenta's voice scream when Raiga died in the Japanese version just before he became a legendary blader. That was good. But I kind of like them both, I suppose. They are what they are. They're aimed for kids. So because of that, Metal Fusion obviously wins overall. So that means Metal Fusion is the best Beyblade series? Really? Is Metal Fusion really the best Beyblade series? If I wasn't comparing it to the original one, it's not even a good anime series. Compared to a lot of shows that I've watched like Naruto, Death Note, Fullmetal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, this is not a good show. It's pretty standard, and it hasn't really aged that well as well. The original one seemed to excel in making the characters just enjoyable to look at and to watch, while the Metal series kind of focused too much on the plot. So go and watch both series of Beyblades and see what you think. Which one do you think is best? I don't mind if you like or hate, it's just my opinion. It's just an opinion. It's all fun and games, so please like, subscribe, and as always, let it rip.